Hey, folks! It's me, the real Manos, and I'm with my friend, formerly known as Deadpoolzilla, now Mr. Multiverse. How you doing today?
Good. That whole rebirth from DPZ to Mr. Multiverse, that was great. I think Neil Gaiman really knocked it out of the park with my rebirth book.
Very good. Before I guess we should get started, I just want to plug your channel. You used to be Deadpoolzilla on YouTube, but you've made a switch. Tell the folks about it.
Yes, I'm on Vlaire TV. I have been there since December. I've been having a lot of fun. I've actually, as of this recording, made it to the second highest channel to be viewed on the site.
Fantastic.
So, shameless promotion, but hey, I don't get to flaunt it that much.
No, please. So, hey, if you miss Deadpoolzilla, wondering where the hell did he go? That's where he is. He's Mr. Multiverse on Blair TV. I'm going to put a link underneath the video, so go click on that and go subscribe to him. You might have to sign. You might have to be a member of Blair TV. It only takes a minute. Everybody, it's fine. It's no trouble. All right. Hey, let's get to the discussion at hand, and that is Steven Universe Future. Of course, anybody who knows, I haven't been reviewing the individual episodes. I wanted to kind of wait until the show was over to really, discuss the whole thing, because I kind of pretty much got an early hint that it was going to be like one story. So I was like, okay, let's wait until they tell their story. And one of the things I wanted to do was do a spoiler cast with you and do my own separate review and stuff like that. So after way over explaining, let's go. I guess we'll start with our short feelings about the show, and then we'll get into a discussion. So of course you're my guest, so you go first.
Thank you. I will say that there were things I liked about this season, but I just feel like on a whole, especially rewatching the finale, because I was really kind to the finale, because my uncle had a heart attack that day, so he had a heart attack and passed away the same day as the finale, so I think it affected how I was watching the show. Sorry to get deep there, but
oh no, that's okay. I actually have some similar feelings about the show in general, but
yeah. But I will say that I feel like there was a bit of a letdown here and there, and it just kind of meandered. And we'll go into the writing a bit, but it just kind of feels like some of the characters felt way out of character. But I did like a lot of the songs. Volleyball was probably one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's as far as show endings go, I kind of feel like this was all right. It could have been way worse. I've seen way worse show endings. So,
oh yeah, I of course have a bit of a disagreement with that. So I was really touched by a lot of it and really impressed with how deep they went with Steven's personal issues, to the point where it really did surprise me on how serious the show went in some episodes. And it did kind of recontextualize the series, as well as any cartoon or comic book that features a kid hero going through really awful situations and then kind of writing it off and the kid being okay. This one did something amazing. It's kind of it is an epilogue, which, yeah, I know animes do it, but I don't care. It's an epilogue to the series, and it allowed the creators and fans to kind of decompress what happened with the series. Because if you just stop watching the regular show, at the end of Diamond Days, it does feel very sudden the way everything kind of, hits the fan. This one kind of let all that stuff and those feelings breathe a little bit better. I absolutely was blown away by a lot of the voice acting in this show, particularly Zach Callaghan, who was really good. the animation, I thought, particularly some of the fight sequences, I think they went to town on this one. I think they had a lot they wanted to do with this series, and I was deeply impressed by it. And actually, I was touched by the ending. And I know, we can talk about the ending more in depth, but I thought it was really interesting in the way that Steven's friends and family that he had been there for were now seemingly like they weren't there for him, but it wasn't done in a way that made them seem like neglectful or anything like that, because he himself often put them aside, like, hey, don't worry about it, I'm cool, everything's cool. And a lot of people do naturally do that where they're not cool, and of course it all comes to a head at the end. I don't know if I'd call it flawless, but I guess I'm more in line of them sticking the landing for the most part.
All right. I guess like for me, it was just kind of like I felt like with the characters writing, it was like some of them writing off like, oh, it's fine, Steven throwing them off, and everyone's like, okay, we'll take your word for it. I'd have been like, no, this has been a nice time to show, pointing out to viewers like, hey, if you see someone like this, maybe you should help them, even if they say they're not okay. And it bothered me that, especially that kind of mentality came from the Gems and Greg, where I'm like, no, like Connie gets it at least. That she's the MVP of this whole show.
Yeah.
I especially love. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. You continue.
I especially love at the end where she says, "Everyone, shut the fuck up. This is, it's all your faults, but don't make it about you."
Yeah, that was awesome. That line was fantastic, because they were doing it, and you know what? A lot of people tend to do that when they see a friend going through problems. They blame themselves, and it is about them. It's them saying they have so much control and everything's about me and I can do stuff and I can fix stuff. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm sorry. Not everything's about you. Not every little decision you choose to make it works that way. And I'm glad she puts it that way, which is why she is not in this series, at least in the first half, because when she's not there to directly address these things, Steven's kind of going his way, and a lot of the characters have grown up and kind of like, I don't want to say fixed, because that might be a little bit too simple of a term, but they've matured and they've kind of been finding their path mostly because of Steven, like Lars and Sadie, for instance. They've been able to become the people they are because of their adventures with Steven, and they're growing up and they're going about their world. People do grow apart, even if they don't really lose connection. They got to do their own thing. Lars is going back into space, for God's sakes, to become Captain Harlock.
Yeah.
And Sadie's gonna go on her band, or her band, yeah. And that's how things go. You grow up, and actually that's been a theme since the very first episode with Cookie Cat. Cookie Cat, it's amazing. That wasn't just a run. That wasn't just some simple dumb joke they did in the first episode. That Cookie Cat thing kind of became the theme of the show. Like, things, change over time. That first episode was Steven dealing with the fact that, he was losing something that was very important to him, and he had to learn to let go of it. And that's kind of growing up. And, that kind of goes through life, really. Things do develop and change, even though you want it to stay in one place and do one thing, which was kind of, I don't know, I guess you could say even some of the mistakes his mother made, thinking she could hold things together, and realizing in time that things had to change for her.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll even get to that too. So, yeah, I don't know if it was so much characters acting out of character. It was, at least in my, from what I can tell, because the crystal gems were pretty close to going, hey, is there something is there something wrong? Like the Cactus Steven episode, I think, is a really good example
I
of
just
them going
that's
of
still
them
like,
going.
oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah, what's that?
I didn't mean to cut you off. The mic cut out. I thought you were done.
That's okay.
Um, I was just gonna say that bothered me. That ending where he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Someone should have went. Clearly, you do want to talk about it because like, yeah, like this had been again going back to the great time of Steven, something's wrong. Let's cut this off. Let's cut this snake off at the head before it gets any bigger, and let's talk about this because clearly you're you know you're not okay judging by the giant plant monster. I will I will say going back to volleyball, that episode, that's probably my favorite of the season and probably one of my favorites of the show in general because like it really talked about abuse and how like you just don't get like there's no way of getting over it. Even like in a like you can have support for it but you never forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really dug that about that episode is that now Pearl has someone to like be with, and it's Pearl.
Yeah, although I'm rooting for her to be more with business, really.
Which, by the way, that came out of nowhere, didn't it?
I don't think so, because if you look back at their appearances together, like they're really kind of, I don't want to say clingy on each other, but
it really felt like
they are
super.
kind of.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, like Pearl, like when Bismuth first shows up, Pearl like dives into her arms, like she is like bawling, crying. I'm really happy to see her.
I kind of attribute to more like, hey, I thought you were dead. I would be emotional too if someone I thought died 1,000 years ago suddenly came back all cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it didn't surprise me as much as it has some other people.
I'm not saying I hate it. It just kind of felt like out of nowhere because didn't Pearl already have like a human person they were kind of building on?
Not really. She's apparently just like, hooking up with people and getting their phone numbers and not doing, it's debatable on what Pearl is doing with these phone numbers. Like, either she's hooking up with humans or just not realizing there's something else besides the phone number.
I'm like, that whole thing was like, are they trying to say Pearl's sleeping with these humans?
I don't think so. I prefer that, but I don't think that's what they're doing. I think she just like goes, okay, that's the ritual. You talk to each other, you friend them, and then you get this number, and she doesn't really call them. So I mean, perfect guy behavior.
I mean, that was kind of the headspace I was like when she was like with all those other people and then showed all those numbers. I'm like, is she having sex with all these humans?
I don't know. That would be hilarious if she was. But and I enjoyed her friends at the skating rink that looked just like her and the other Crystal Gems. Like there was a human equivalent to her guard in Amethyst, which I thought was funny. It's like, yeah, okay, you kind of basically take your life and equate it to these other humans. That you can hang out with these humans because they're like these gems, and I guess that makes sense, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've been thinking about what my favorite episode is, and I'm having trouble. I really love Fragments, and Volleyball's a great episode.
I would say, like, if I was to pick like a second favorite episode, it'd be the Peridot one.
The Peridot one's really good. That episode, the way they work with dreams, I think is excellent. There's almost like a David Lynch type of jump scare in it, where he wakes up and he thinks he's not dreaming anymore, and Peridot's staring at the TV. It's like that's a pretty third season Twin Peaks moment right there.
I was like, did I just pop in Eraserhead?
I enjoyed a lot of the Rose Quartz episode. I'm glad they were able to follow through on that, where we get to see what became of the Rose Quartzes that were bubbled. Because I always felt bad about that. I always felt bad for them. Like, they didn't do anything, and they were punished. So it was kind of funny to watch three of them come out and have this relationship with Steven and make everyone uncomfortable. And it's not their fault. You know, they're nice people who have been through a lot, but, like, they look like the most emotionally damaging person it's Steven, the Gems, and Greg know.
It's almost like an enemy faction trying to be friends with the people they're at war with. Like, in real... Like, it really feels like these... Like, imagine, like, if you were a former German officer trying to have tea with a British officer.
And you know, he... And also encapsulates the series as well, because, like, Steven escalates that whole situation, like, you know, hey, we're just going to come over for lunch. Hey, no, stay over.
Hey,
no, keep staying. Like, yeah, it's like, hey, man, stop insisting. You're making it worse for yourself. And that, in a way, is kind of like his problem for the whole series, is like he's not able to acknowledge what's bothering him, and the pretense of making sure that people know it's cool it only just makes it worse for him. And that's what he was doing in that episode with them. I really like the fact that that one gem who looked most like Rose was kind of hip to the situation right off the bat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really loved the way it ended. With them kind of like coming to terms with it and come to peace with it. And it was really, I like the idea that he kind of figured out, like, wait, you're not my mom, you're my siblings. You know, we are family. And, you know, what was done, you know, I had some damage, you know, because of Rose Quartz. You had some damage because of Rose Quartz. You know, we share that together. And that was really sweet.
You know, I retract my original, like, comparison with soldiers. It's more like meeting your half-sibling for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Let's see. God, I really loved the Bluebird episode. Because it was nice seeing Aquamarine and Eyeball one more time. Because I love those characters. And I loved that it acknowledged that not everybody's cool with the new normal, with the Gem society. And I don't want to call it Empire anymore, but, you know, the colonies and, you know, how life is now in Era 3. Not everybody's going to be cool about that. You know, not everybody's going to need a hug. Not everybody's going to need to talk it out. Some people are just bad guys. And that's who they are. Because they lost power because of this. And there are others out there just like them, like that evil Lapis. I'm glad the show took basically 2 episodes to kind of acknowledge those, you know, lingering threats that are going to be there.
Yeah. I think, like, the other thing, I did like a lot of the songs in here. I especially loved Blue Diamond's song. It's going to sound really weird,
yeah.
but it almost reminded me of, like, a song you'd hear in a Rankin Bass movie. I don't know why that is.
I hadn't thought of that. That's actually an interesting comparison. I'm a sucker for those kind of songs.
Yeah. I will say my favorite song, though. I will say that was my second favorite song. My favorite song is "The Little Blackbird" by Rainbow Quartz, and because it just sounds like a song John Lennon would write for his son.
I loved that fake David Bowie song that Greg loved, that kind of became his name.
Yeah, and
it sounded great.
I love how I can't remember his name, but he did the song "Shiny" in Moana.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And Yeah, he's also in one of the vampires in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, that.
I cannot remember that actor's name, but he's friends with Taika Waititi.
Oh, that's cool. That's really neat. God, and I there's a. If you don't mind, do you mind switching over to the topic of lingering plot threads?
Yeah, let's open that box of wonders.
Okay, literally, our box of wonders. Now, here is what I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion within Steven Universe fandom, but I love the fact that they left plot threads open. I love the fact that they didn't tie up everything in this series. I didn't expect them to. I was hoping they wouldn't, and that's one of the things I really like. Because the show really tries to aim towards the idea that life is messy and life is not perfect, and it's okay, and there's a beauty in imperfection. And I think this series follows that. And I always enjoy a good I enjoy a little mystery within a story that's not answered or left up to me. It's the suitcase from Pulp Fiction. We're still talking about that 20, 25, 30 years later. We're still talking about what was in the briefcase. Where if they had just shown us diamonds or something, we wouldn't be talking about that. It's more fun to talk about the mystery. And I really love the fact that, like I said, they left it open that, hey, there's still villains out there that's going to want to kill Steven and take down the Empire out there.
Yeah,
not everybody just agreed.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a fan fiction paradise.
Oh, it is. And maybe that was part of the thinking. Hey, okay, here's some avenues out there for you fans to think about. Yeah, we're left with Evil Lapis, as well as Aquamarine and Eyeball. The chest is open, and they never told us what was in it. I love it, and I know that that's driving some fans insane, and I love it even more.
Yeah. I will say that it's not as many plot threads as there is with Star vs. the Forces of Evil ending, which was wow, you just ghosted all of that potential, didn't you?
I think that's more of a difference of not being able to do those things, or forgetting about them, or not being able to, versus leaving them purposely open.
I think it was because I think Darren Nefsey and her team were we dug too deep.
I don't. I haven't dug. I haven't investigated the behind the scenes on the creation of that show. I just watched the show, unlike Steven Universe, which is I ate up every stupid trivia bit I could about behind the scenes on Steven Universe. So I know more about the production of Steven Universe than I do of Star. So I don't know what went on behind the scenes with the show in the last season. I have just from watching the show, I have ideas that maybe what they wanted to do, they didn't have time for. Maybe 5 or 6 seasons would have been able to, end that show a little bit more successfully. Or maybe it went in a direction that Disney was not comfortable with discussing. Or I don't know. It dealt a lot with societal change, and it dealt with systemic racism and colonialism in the first couple of seasons, and then they kind of just forgot about it in the last season. Where I don't know. I just feel like they created a theme and a plot line to go into that they steered from at the end. I'm going to bring it back to Steven Universe. Where Steven Universe kind of establishes in this epilogue series that life goes on. Life moves forward. Life changes. Things change.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. It doesn't end. Because when you think about it, the end of Diamond Days or the end of Steven Universe, the movie, were endings. They were happy endings. If you stop here, everything's great. But life doesn't work that way. There's no stopping point. Life keeps going on. If you wanted to, like Tim Burton made his Ed Wood movie, and he gives it a happy ending at the end of completing and doing a premiere of Plan 9 from Outer Space, but Ed Wood's life continued on that after that and didn't do so great for the years to come. But he stopped it there because, okay, that's the happy ending for Ed Wood. And this gives you, an ending point where Stephen is able to kind of come to grips with the things that happened to him in his life and is better able to, use them and deal with life's problems growing up. But life continues for him, and life will continue for the other characters, and I really like that. And that's part of the reason why I like the fact that they didn't tie everything up.
I mean, I see where you're going, but it's still it just irks me that we didn't get some answers. It just kind of irks me with some some of the open threads, the chest wasn't a problem for me. I just kind of wondered, I wish we went more into what post Homeworld looks like.
Yeah, I'm actually, to be honest, I'm very interested in what post Homeworld looks like. I'm also very interested in what post. Let's see. I'm interested in what Earth is like. How is Earth dealing with a new race of superwomen just all over the planet? I assume things were handled in the 2 years, and I'm guessing Rebecca Sugar is decided not to pull a George Lucas and not bore us with all the political discussions on that.
Well, I think what it is that, Steven tried to make an island for gems only and called it Cricut. Wait, that's something else.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess she was kind of going with the Alfred Hitchcock philosophy, in that melodrama is life with the boring parts cut out. And, okay, hey, stuff happens between the gems and Earth. Who cares? That's not what our story is about.
We're cool now.
Yeah, if we want to do stories about that stuff, we'll tell you how that went down. But that's not the story we're telling.
Or go out and write a fan fiction. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, because I'd be very curious. I like the fact that they only give us hints of it, and okay, that's fine. I guess that's the only real plot thread I would be very interested in hearing, but I know it's not the story they're interested in telling. So I as a fan, I try to respect that.
Yeah. I will say that I'm okay, so what do the Diamonds do now other than just stay on the planet? Are they advisors? Are they because obviously they've abdicated power to democracy, which I laugh at.
I did. Well, hopefully they get it right. But I was thinking, it kind of reminds me of the British monarchy, where they've kind of advocated power. I mean, what's that?
You think they're figureheads now, like the Emperor of Japan?
Yeah, I think so. Japan and England didn't get rid of their monarchies when they started democracies. Excuse me. I mean, they're there, but they're not running the day-to-day governments anymore. Even though they are technically still in power, I don't know. It's weird. I learned a couple of years ago, the Queen of England still has the power to declare war. I think that's still. Yeah, Lindsay, isn't that still technically within her ability?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, she's not going
she still
to.
Has power, things like that, but because of Parliament,
Yeah.
she just lets them do everything.
Correct.
Even though technically she could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's probably, if I had to guess just from the one scene we had in that episode, I'm guessing that's it. Like, they've advocated power in that way, even if they may technically still rule, which is impressive because I was like very curious about how they would really go about things. And it seems like they've at least been going in like the post-British Empire method, like we're going to do it. We're going to advocate this power.
Yeah, I'm also like, I've got a feeling that White is now like being an emissary to other planets, because you do hear that she's like, she's gone to other worlds, so other civilizations are like, that's another thing, like, does that mean other civilizations out in the galaxy are like, hey, the Diamond Authority's gone and there's a power vacuum in a way, let's take some territory.
Yeah. That's something that could happen, I mean, we do have other gems. I think they've hinted at other alien races in the show. So, I mean, that's something, I don't know if, Sugar and company or anybody, will have the chance to continue, or at least the fans in their fan fiction can continue. So yeah, like I said, life goes on, and established it leaves a lot to pick up on. Like that's one of the things I like is like they don't try to end everything on a dime, which would be fine if they did, but I like this method better. Because you and I are talking about that, like, oh my god, like who else is out there? Who's going to like challenge them? Who's going to like this? Who's going to hate it?
Yeah, who are the races that they enslaved? Are like, how about some payback?
Yeah, is there any gem are there any gem colonies out there that was like, you know what, you were really hard on us?
Yeah, or races who lost their homes, who had to like run.
Yeah. Or also bad. It's like, no, wait, we like that method, so we're gonna do that method.
Yeah.
Like
cultural genocide. That's a great idea, Gem Homeworld.
Yeah, you were right the first time.
Yeah. This fascism thing is amazing.
Yeah, it gets stuff done. We're doing it.
Yeah, we are so great. We've got great numbers.
We're gonna go back to the old days. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there will be gems out there who will act and think like that. Because I mean, after all, they were a type of being that, like, they all felt like, a lot of them felt like Jasper when she was explaining how everyone has their purpose in their job. And they do this. For the fact that that's not a thing anymore is going to be very difficult for some of them. So some of them will be bad guys. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Edward, it's fun. It's fun to think about.
Yeah. I will say that I know we were talking about like a few things we disagreed on, and I kind of want to get into this is because one thing is that irked me about this, that really bothered me, is remember that episode where like Steven's decides to propose to Connie, and the thing that bothered me the most about that episode, it was really cute, but the one thing that bothered me is Garnet says, Ruby and Sapphire used to have time apart, and I'm like, no, you never did. Like, the moment you met, you were constantly together. The only time you were separated was because of, the whole rose pink diamond thing. You were never fully separated and having your own lives. You are predicated to living together and being together. So you do not get to say that, Garnet.
I don't really have a strong feeling on that.
I don't know. It's just something that bothered me.
I loved that they kind of deconstructed the awesome things about Ruby and Sapphire in that episode, where, they have been like basically put on a pedestal of being like, the ideal couple, love first and love always. And what I like about the writing of this episode is like, well, wait, that answer isn't correct for everyone in every situation, and Ruby and Sapphire aren't really aware of that because their experience is for them and how it works for them, and neither one of them really stopped to consider that it wouldn't be, the right choice for Steven and Connie. Garnet is more self-aware on that, so that's why they have that better conversation at the end where she's able to be more real with him.
Yeah.
I love that episode because I knew it was coming, and like he's got her on the beach, and it's like, oh, it's the same like area, that they met, and it's like hinting at like the first Stefani episode, and he's like, bringing the song. It's like, oh god, this is gonna be like the tension on that was really interesting because like, this is about all the stuff. This is like really beautiful, and I know where this is going. I know this is gonna go bad, and I gotta say, you mentioned earlier that Connie is the MVP of this season, and that is no joke because I was afraid that she was gonna give a really bad, nasty answer to that, like get upset and tell him to take off and stuff like that, and she gave him 100% the correct answer for that.
Yeah, I love when she said, like, it's not now.
Yeah, it's not now. Look, hey, this is great, but we're both still kids. We're doing our thing. We can't do this now, but like, this doesn't hurt anything. God, she was so good. And then the next episode when she realizes like he's got some real problems. Granted, she saw him swell up where no one else had, and man, that scene with the scene with her doctor was great. Her mom, Dr. Mahesh Warren, because I didn't want to do this without talking about this scene.
Yeah,
I'll start off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna make a stupid joke. I was just gonna say, Dr. Mahesh Warren, the AKA the only responsible adult in Beach City.
And man, this was a bit of a redemption for her because fans would make fun of her from Nightmare Hospital when she didn't know what the gem shard force fusions were, and people were like making fun of her, like, that's obviously no accident, you stupid doctor. This was like, no, this is her specialty. This is what she knows what she's doing. She even like knows enough to make some guesses at how his gem affects his body. Like, she's able to leave that space in there, which I thought was really smart. And the way I feel like they did some research on this because she explains it so well. And I love the fact that she like she's very thoughtful and very humane the way she tells Steven, because he's like, oh, there's something wrong with my brain. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with your brain. This is physical trauma. And, it's one of the most thoughtful bits of writing I've seen in not just kid entertainment, but adult entertainment about this kind of particular issue. And man, it's really good. And it also, like I mentioned earlier, recontextualizes the series because, some of these things that have happened to him are, kind of funny things or adventurous and cool things. And now when you go back and look at it, like, a kid went through those things and was very upset by them. Like, he saw his own death in one episode. He saw, Pearl, who basically is kind of his mom, die in front of him. We've seen, the cluster incident where he was right there at ground zero at maybe the Earth being destroyed and was able to turn around just by saying the right thing. Oh, that's got to be immensely stressful to anybody, much less a kid who's still developing. And that episode really does. It really did strike me a lot. emotionally, just on what the gravity was on the situation. Now I kind of like watch some other shows with kid protagonists, and I go, oh my god, they're going to be messed up. Like, what are Dipper and Mabel going to be doing?
I weep for the Pines twins.
Oh my god, their poor parents when they get home.
Yeah,
Not going to know any.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, the poor parents when they get home, like, what are they going to have to unpack with those kids?
It is kind of funny though, because I did take this all into account and did like an adaptation of Heroes in Crisis with all these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the kind of shit that Tom King was doing,
or trying
Batman, or trying to do. Depending on if you like it or not. With Heroes in Crisis and his Batman run, like this was 11 minutes that I think really dug deep into what he was trying to do. Some writers try to do, and successful or not.
Did Tom King speak into the writing studio for this episode? I mean, he is an FBI age, and he may have been able to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I've been telling people, like, look, if you like the Tom King run, you should really watch Steven Universe Future, because this is an amazing deconstruction of what being a hero affects like a kid. Like more than I've seen any writer really approach. I've never seen a Batman writer approach this with any of the Robins. This kind of thing. And those kids see some terrible shit. So, like, hey, let me dress you up in funny colors and throw you at a serial killer.
Yeah, make you a target.
Yeah. Go get him, 12-year-old.
Yeah, literally, I'll put you in the bright colors so they're shooting at you, not me.
Yeah. Look, I don't have kids, but I'm pretty certain asking, a 12-year-old to go beat up Ted Bundy would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Basically what Batman does.
And apparently what the Gems do with Steven.
And although that was like, I don't know, that was like gonna happen. So it's like, okay. I don't know, you go back and watch those early episodes and they're like kind of cautious about getting him involved in that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you know what? Okay. Maybe I kind of get their point now. Where you watch those episodes and you go, oh man, I want him to get involved in this stuff. And now you're going back and watching the early episodes and go, man, they were right. He should stay out of this.
Yeah. And now I want Steven to wear a shirt going, Kite Man, hell yeah. Kudos if it's anyone listening to that who got that reference.
So, let's see. What are your I guess you are telling me your thoughts on the episode, but did you have any other thoughts on that particular scene?
No, it was actually like what you said. It really does hit home that this shit would not, like, realistically, you would be like not only like mentally messed up, but they clearly show you're not healing right physically.
Oh, yeah.
Like your bones are fractured. Like his skull is permanently cracked. That's life threatening.
I gasped when I saw that X-ray of his skull. Like, oh my god! Like he's been really hurt. Like his healing factor is of Wolverine stature, I guess. Like and I've seen him like slammed into brick walls and get up like it's no problem.
Yeah, I was like, the moment I saw that crack, I was like, how hard did Jasper punch you?
Yeah, that I keep thinking about that episode. Where he got in that sparring match with Amethyst, and she slams him into the ground where it, like, explodes. I remember thinking, that would kill a person. And he got up from that.
I'm actually I'm shocked that we didn't, like, when Steven was disrobing and putting on the medical gown, like, we didn't see, like, all these cuts and bruises all over his body.
All heals. All heals on the outside.
Yeah, I feel like Sugar and the rest of the team were like, that's a little too much. We got to pull it back.
Yeah. Oh my god. So hey, I guess before we go, there's a couple other lingering things I want to talk to. First, the two big Steven versus Jasper fights. We started on a Steven versus Jasper fight, and then we kind of like begin the climax with one. And I really enjoyed the first episode a lot. I think it's a great episode as far as establishing what they were going to be doing in the world. And that fight was fun. There were some hilarious moments, like him saving the birds. Was really fun and cute. I love the fact that Jasper hates it calls everything an earthling, even grass, which makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I think it does a nice hint at suggesting that there's something bubbling wrong. There's something bubbling under Steven's persona that's wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that first episode just really nails what the series is going to be about, where it's going to be going. I think that's a great one. And of course, man, I'm a sucker for the Dragon Ball Z fight in Fragments.
Yeah. Can I say something though? Like,
please go.
I don't mean to cut you off, but like the one thing I'm like shocked at, and now thinking back, I'm like, I kind of wish Jasper went with him at the end of the show.
I'm glad she didn't.
Hear me out. Like, I think it would have been interesting because, yeah, Jasper's doesn't know what she wants to do with her life other than, be around Steven. She's actually been given a purpose now. And honestly, I think it's best if someone did go with Steven, because what if he has another monster out mental breakdown? I was like, are we just going to let him go across the US in that condition after not even like, I know it's been a few months, but like someone should just go in case he needs it.
I think they also hinted at the fact that there's social media he can keep in touch with, and also he can like teleport back like anytime. Those I don't know. I don't think that as much as an issue. He's probably almost 17 at this point, and he's been through a lot, and he keeps in touch with his therapist. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like rethinking on that, and I was just kind of like, maybe you should have gone with him, Jasper, because like I feel like that would have been a neat end to her arc of just being like, hey, I've got a new purpose. I failed to protect Pink Diamond, but now I can protect her son. Like she acknowledges that, yeah, Steven, you are the son of Pink Diamond, and I failed to protect my diamond before, but now I can have a new purpose because of you. Like, I feel like that would have been a better ending for Jasper's arc, is just be like, yeah, I'll go with you,
I have to admit the poetry of that is interesting, where she was like an enemy in the first season, and then the ultimate enemy at the end of the first season, and at the end of the last season, she would go off with him in that respect. I think that's an interesting bit of poetry there, but I'm glad she didn't, because Steven's right. She really does need to find her own answers, and going with him would kind of, I think, negate that. And also, to be honest, she's not good for him. Like, I know before the season started, I know there were some people theorizing, and I even saw on the roundtable make this kind of suggestion, that Jasper could help find something within Steven that could help him out, and in a way, like comparing her to like Piccolo, using your anger correctly. But I think people who thought this way overestimated Jasper. Like, yeah. She was not good, and she instead ended up encouraging the wrong negative aspects of what Steven was going on at the time.
Yeah, instead of like, imagine if like instead of Piccolo training young Gohan, imagine if it was Raditz.
Yeah, or Vegeta. Like, you don't want those guys talking to you about anger and dealing with it, because they don't know what they're doing.
They have some emotional problems. It's not good.
And Jasper is basically a female combination of Vegeta and Raditz, essentially.
Yeah.
I have been long. I suspect for the longest time, like when Kimberly Brooks went in to read for Jasper, they told her, okay, she's basically Vegeta. just do that voice, and that attitude.
Just imagine a gender bent Nappa and go.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, just do that.
Yeah. I will also say that I was kind of hoping for some resolution between Lapis and Jasper.
I feel like that's kind of an open book.
I was
I
like,
get the sense.
Jasper's now living in the same area as Lapis. You think there wouldn't be any drama?
Yeah. You know, I loved her last scene, actually. I mean, breaking through the wall twice was really funny. But the way she was just kind of, the smoke clears and she's leaning on the wall with, her foot on the wall and her arms folded back. It's like, she's basically become Wolverine for little homeschool. She's that cool loner that comes and goes.
I was half expecting her to have like a stogie and like a fur jacket on.
If she discovers it, yes. She does have a little bit of a Sabretooth look.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, like, it's not like, I think we talked about this, like, yeah, she called, like, Amethyst Runt, and...
yeah, that's right. So, yeah, she could be Sabretooth to Amethyst's Wolverine. And, she's short like Wolverine, so... There you go. We found your Marvel comparison there.
Yeah. You're welcome, everybody.
Yep.
And no one thought we could put the thing back to Krakoa.
Perfect. Excellent. Let's see. Yeah, I guess there is something also. Let me ask you something about Greg Universe and his relationship with his parents. And I've heard a lot of fans like almost talk about like how maybe Greg was acting out of character or really nasty towards his parents or really ignorant towards his parents or kind of something along those lines. And I'll be honest, there are things that I feel that are left unsaid that makes me wonder about Greg's parents. Like, how nasty and unsupportive were they to make him leave and change his name and completely...
Well, if Andy's any indication of how that... If Andy DeMeo is any indication of how that whole family is, I imagine he was kind of right for leaving.
Yeah, and Andy's probably one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, the racist uncle / cousin is the good one.
Yeah, he was able to kind of come to about it, or at least to a decent understanding. Maybe they're not. And don't forget, anybody. I've seen people like say, hey, it's unfair for Greg to treat his parents like that. They didn't open his letters.
Do they even know it's a thing? Because Andy didn't.
Well, come on. You'd still open the letter. They knew. They knew it's him.
Well, I mean, like, did they know about Steve? Did his parents know about Steven or Rose, for that matter? Like,
I guess they can't because they didn't open his letters. That to me says a bit about them as people. Like, they don't even want to talk to their son. And just the way Greg, there's like this real, I don't want to say fear in his voice, but there's an obvious, like, I don't know, I guess fear in his voice or something like that, where he doesn't want to go back there. He doesn't want to deal with them. I feel like they kind of really damaged him a little bit to the point where he just went all the way into the extreme of the other side and doesn't want Steven exposed to that. Where Steve, and I like the way it was written because Steven's all caught up in what he's going through and doesn't take the time to think like, wow, they must have really been terrible to him. He was also being selfish of himself. thinking like, hey, I could have had a bit of a normal life, which, that ties into deep into the show when he first found out his real name was DeMeo, and thought, hey, that's a cool name. I could have been DeMeo. And at the same time, he's not really thinking about that for Steven. He's kind of still wrapped up on whatever his parents did to him. So I don't know. I've seen some fans kind of not acknowledge that. And I just went. I was curious about your thoughts on that. What kind of attitude, what kind of feeling you got from that scene?
I kind of feel like, Steven on one hand was like, you robbed me of having, of this whole other family. But like on the other hand, I'm like, Greg is kind of like, no, I don't, like maybe he's just kind of projecting his own trauma onto Steven.
Yeah, I think he is. And it's one of those, that episode is one of those kind of bits of writing which I like, where we have these two opposite opinions and opposite opposing characters, and in each case they're both right and wrong. And I think in that episode, each of them, Steven's legit issue with not having a connection with Greg's family is a legit feeling, but at the same time, I don't think he's thinking about what really drove Greg away. And Greg obviously feels terrible about what drove him away, but he's not really considering Steven's feelings on that. And like I said, they're both right and they're both wrong in their feelings.
Yeah. And I like that. I mean, it's one of those arguments where it's like, there's no real winner here.
No, there's not. The only loser was the van.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. I don't know where else I can take this conversation. Anything else going on?
No, I think we covered it really.
Let's see. Let's do a little sum up here. I don't know if there's any future to Steven Universe after Future, because Sugar seems like she's on break.
Yeah.
She's been doing this show since probably pre-production, 2012 and stuff like that. This has been her life for 8 years.
Yeah.
And she probably just rightfully wants to take a break. And also, it happened during the show ends for her during the middle of this quarantine.
Yeah.
So what an interesting time to be done. Okay, I'm kicking my shoes off and chilling and doing nothing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's something she wouldn't even need to do another show of how popular this was.
Correct.
Yeah, she wouldn't need to. It's but she's going to at some point. I imagine there's going to be another show, but not now. I mean,
oh yeah.
But for right now, we've got others, and people are already arguing, what about what's the next big cartoon? I'm like, Owl House.
Yeah, it is Owl House. That's next. But as far as what, I don't know, she's put out very cryptic statements on the future of Steven Universe, where she's talked about how she's really not done with the show, but she's also talked about how she and the characters need a break. She's talked about there are other stories, but if there are any comic books that come out, they're not canon and stuff like that. So I don't know if she's purposely been vague on this, because I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I think for now she's just gonna take a breather and whatever be que sera sera, I guess.
Oh yes. Well, also there's that elephant in the room of HBO Max and their Adventure Time specials that they're doing.
Yeah, and Pendleton Ward is doing Midnight Gospel.
Yeah. So, is HBO Max going to come to Rebecca Sugar and hey, you want to do like another series or some specials or a movie, or what do you want to do? Here's a bag of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope they give her. If they do, I hope they give her some space. For when she's ready. And I don't know. I'm not done with the world. So I could revisit this world. I don't know what plans might happen. But to be honest, if they don't make anything ever again, we have 6 seasons of a great show that I think changed things quite a bit.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No.
I was just going to say that, in the meantime, you've got a few choices. Like, oddly enough, like, Cartoon Network has a few good shows. Not Thundercats Roar. But if you want to go look somewhere, go look no further than Disney. Like, not just Owl House, but go check out Amphibia. Go check out what was the other show that recently came out for them other than Owl House?
Are you talking about Big City Greens or?
Yeah.
Or.
Yeah, Big City Greens.
And DuckTales, I think, is great.
And DuckTales, yes, that's the one that got away from me. But yeah, those shows, like, if you're looking for somewhere and Cartoon Network is just not doing it for you, because I get it, Teen Titans Go. I will say, go to Disney and you'll see that, or even Netflix. Like, go check out the final season of She-Ra. She-Ra's been a interesting successor to Steven Universe.
Yeah, and there's some really great stuff on Cartoon Network. I know it feels like it's Teen Titans Go, but
yeah,
Infinity Train. Infinity Train is amazing. Forget being a kids cartoon, it is like a legit great science fiction show. I absolutely love Infinity Train. If you haven't seen it, watch it, find it, watch it. It's great. Craig of the Creek, I think, is awesome. I really like Mao Mao and the Heroes of Pure Heart. I don't know if that's going to get a second season or not, which is too bad because I really like that show.
I hate that that was overlooked. Like, that's literally like if Darkwing Duck fell into the Care Bears universe.
It is. It's great, and I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it being picked up or not. But that's a really good show, and if not, there will be other good shows. There might be a dry season for a while, but Cartoon Network has, I think, proven, like we've seen in this last decade, that they can turn it out again. It doesn't have to be just the classic '90s shows. They can actually keep up with the times and put out some great stuff, which they did this past 10 years. This TV animation for me in the West, in America, I think was owned by Cartoon Network. I think they had a great decade of really great shows that I think mattered and changed things, and Steven Universe was one of them.
And it's weird that Steven Universe was the last of that era to go.
Yeah, it was, and that's great. I remember they'd take like a hiatus, like in the early first season, and people go, "Oh, it's canceled." I'm like, no, it's cool. Don't worry, it's fine. I know I had to reassure people online like 3 or 4 times within a certain amount of time. Like, no, it's cool. I've been paying attention to their episode list. They have like 100 episodes they're going to do. So, and they go, okay, all right, okay. I thought it was canceled. But that's how attached people were to it. They were afraid of it being lost all the time. And I think it ended in a good time. I think it didn't go on too long. Because I love Adventure Time, but I feel like season 7 and 8, it did feel like it kind of like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 or something like that. There was a period where it felt like it was kind of meandering for a while. And then it ended strong. I think the series had a good strong last season. And then, of course, Simpsons is a classic example of a show that goes on too long. So I think it ended on the note the creators wanted. So I'm very happy with that. You mentioned the Disney stuff. Owl House is just starting up. It's excellent, and people are excited about it. And I think they should be. It's a really good show.
I am the captain. I am the goddamn captain of the Luz Amity ship.
Also, oh boy, Amphibia was a big surprise for me because when they announced that, they announced it alongside of Owl House, so I was like, it's kind of like Owl House. Very similar kind of premise. Oh, it came out first. I guess I'll watch that, and I fell in love with it instantly. And man, that season ended. Man, they like stuck the landing for that season finale. That was a really good, strong finale, and I can't wait to see where the story develops. And I love the characters, and I watch the show a lot, just casually. It's just like a fun show to hang out with. And DuckTales is fantastic. But you know what? You mentioned She-Ra, and I'm going to get to that for a second. She-Ra is about to come out in May, the final season, and that show has been awesome. I highly recommend, especially now that the series is wrapping up this next month. You can watch the whole thing. It's great. Noelle Stevenson, I think, is moving on. She'll probably do some other stuff. Netflix has made a deal with Boom Studios, and they're going to be doing some animated series out of that. And I think
really pushed for Lumberjanes.
Oh man, I'm all in for Lumberjanes. That's a great comic, and I've thought that would be a great film or a series, and it looks like they're going to be doing something with it. I think, to be honest, I mentioned how Cartoon Network owned the 2010s. I think Netflix is in a good position to own the 20s. I think they have come up with a lot of interesting stuff, and they also can do like fun, humorous cartoons. They can do action cartoons, which a lot of people have been like missing from the networks. They have a lot of free space they can work in, and I think She-Ra and Castlevania are good examples of what they can do. Kipo came out a few months ago, and I absolutely love that. Kipo in the Age of the Magical Wonder Beasts. That's a great show.
I would also say Glitch Tex, which was a co-production with Nickelodeon. That's another good one on Netflix.
Yeah, and also, Netflix is going to be working with Nickelodeon too. So, yeah, keep your eye on Netflix. I think they're making some really good plans, and I think they are going to have a strong 20s.
Yeah, they got to compete with the mouse online. So,
yeah, and they're losing some of their properties, not just to Disney, but of course, Warner Brothers is going to be pulling. I assume they're going to be pulling a lot of their stuff and putting it on HBO Max. So hey, they gotta do something.
Yeah. Did you hear that HBO Max is going to be doing a series led by J.J. Abrams on the Overlook Hotel from The Shining?
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be like, but I mean, I think there's a lot of good programs coming out. I'll stick to animation because we're talking about this specifically, but I don't know. I think the future of TV animation is looking really good. Either if it's on regular network or streaming, whichever. I think things are very promising, and I think Steven Universe is an important cog in that development. I think that's all. We kind of got a little bit way. I wanted to talk a little bit about the future, and that's what we just did.
Yeah, and actually, I wouldn't mind doing a follow-up video talking about the future of animation with you sometime.
I would like that too. Let's see. Now that Steven Universe is done, I don't know how many of these Stevolution episodes we can do. So yeah, we can kind of shift into that idea. We'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
But so I think that's it. Do you have any lingering thoughts about Steven Universe future or Steven Universe in general?
Well, all I will say is thank you, Rebecca Sugar, for not only giving us a show that had such a cultural impact, but ups and downs. I had my problems with it, but on a whole, you created a new animation renaissance. because without you, there probably wouldn't be Gravity Falls or DuckTales or Owl House or She-Ra or any of those without, Steven Universe kind of kicking in the door and going, "Sup, bitches."
I also, want to thank Rebecca Sugar and her whole crew, and the actors involved. I think the series they did was really, it was satisfying, but I hesitate to use the word important because that has such a pretentious feeling around it, but it really was important to a lot of people, to me personally, and to animation in general. I think it kind of opened the doors on what you can do with character and not to mention emotion and real issues dealing with them. I've even seen them, like, I've seen their influence already, and the show just ended. I've been seeing, the influence kind of go off into not just other comedy adventure shows, but I, even seen some stuff and some action stuff too that I feel like I don't think that would have been there. Like the recent Justice League animated film from Bruce Timm, it dealt a lot with anxiety issues and such. And I don't know if that would have been there without Steven Universe. I mean, maybe, but it's just a guess. But that the show's been important to me and been important to Lindsay, and really thankful it exists. And I wish everyone involved with the show luck in the future and projects. It'd be great to see Steven Universe back, but if not, then we had 6 amazing seasons that are life-changing. So thanks everybody. That's it. That's what we thought of this series. Not 100% perfect, but boy, it definitely left its impact. So you can tell us what you think of what we thought, or your own personal thoughts about Steven Universe's future, or the TV show Steven Universe, or hell, just anything regarding all that stuff. Leave a comment below. You can like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and if you'd like to see us talk about other animated topics in the future, hey, throw your suggestions. We're kind of open right now and not really married to any ideas at this moment because we haven't really discussed it. So, leave a comment below.
What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about, man? At the end of Stevolution, now it's time for She-Ra-volution.
Oh, yeah, I know. We got at least one more month of episodes to do. So anyway, don't forget to check out my buds, Valair TV channel, Mr. Multiverse. Click the link below and subscribe. He does awesome stuff over there. And you can follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you can support The Real Manos and Manos Publishing at Patreon. Okay, I think that's it. So are you done, sir?
I am done.
Thank you very much for joining me. It's been great, and I want to tell everybody watching at home, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
I am a tool. Teachers give me credit, but some say no carry. But